So just so everybody can see or know who is talking, can you guys just say your names and what you guys are associated with?
Marcella Ochoa, writer Madres.
Evelyn Gonzales, actor playing Marisol on Madres.
Hi, Gigi Saul Guerrero, co-writer and director of Bingo Hell.
Bertila Damas, actress extraordinaire on Bingo Hell. Oh yes, in Bingo Hell. Yes.
That was great. Good introductions. Thank you. Just real quick, for Marcella and Gigi, what came first, the ideas for the stories or the opportunity to write? For Blumhouse.
Oh yeah, for me it was the idea that came first. I'm Mexican American and I love horror, and we never get to see ourselves really in film or TV, and especially in horror movies. And so it was everything that I want to write. I want to represent my community, and I want to represent stories that we don't ever really get to see ourselves. So that was important for me. So the idea came first, and the horror I think is just a great lens to tell these social injustice stories. So I wanted to do it on this migrant farming community that's really important to me because my grandparents were migrant farm workers. And when I found out what was going on and these injustices that was happening to them in the 70s in California, it just lended itself to a horror story because the horror was what really was going on with them. So the script and idea came first, and then I sold it to Blumhouse and Amazon, which I'm so grateful. When they read the script, they were like, yes, this needs to be included and welcome to the Blumhouse. This is the film we need to, like, they got it immediately that the story was so important and representation was so important.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is my second feature with Blumhouse. My feature debut was Culture Shock, starring Marta Gareda. That was a Hulu original, and it did really, really well. And Blumhouse was like, all right, what do you got next? I'm like, well, I just happen to have the wildest idea with old people. With all, except Yolanda.
Yeah, she's not
Except Yolanda.
me.
No, she will explain her character as the youngest and most extraordinary one. And I just, I said to Blumhouse, well, I happen to have the wildest idea with my co-writer, Shane McKenzie, that takes place at a bingo hall. Very much inspired by Shane's mother-in-law, who's obsessed at bingo in Texas at the community center there, and very much an honorable portrayal of my grandma by Adriana Barraza in the film, who is also very much obsessed with loteria, which is the Mexican bingo. So we were talking, Shane and I, and we basically said, well, how terrifying would it be if we took bingo away from these seniors? We're like, well, that's only going to equal to grandma with a shotgun. So Blumhouse and Amazon loved it. I'm so excited that they took this risk, especially, it's been a long time since maybe the 70s, like Batteries Not Included or Cocoon, where we have seen seniors be the leads and the heroes of this story. And it's exciting that Adriana Barraza was able to now portray the new, like, abuela for horror fans. I think we all need that. So it's exciting that we could create this new character.
And for the actors, Evelyn and Bertila, can you guys explain your characters and how you guys fit into the general story?
Yes, my character was basically the catalyst for the lead, Diana, and helping her figure out the mystery of the maldición. It ends up with the supernatural element and the Mexican culture of maldiciones and spells and stuff like that, which kind of just, takes the audience on this just journey of trying to figure out what is really plaguing this town. And what ends up happening is just in a huge, left turn for the audience that brings it all together because it's a real horror. And that's, I think, what's the most impactful about this film, is that you walk out really learning something just terrible that actually happened in real life. And I think that in horrors, we're always thinking about monsters doing these horrible things to humans, but really the real monsters in this world are what humans do to humans. And that is definitely portrayed in Madres.
Yolanda's part of the neighborhood. She's the neighborhood hairdresser. And that's why she's not one of the old people. But no, I think, Yolanda's part of this wonderful neighborhood. And in fact, you know, in the movie, they're so supportive of each other. That part of the thing in the bingo hall is they try to raise money for Yolanda to bring her family, you know, into it, back to Oak Springs, because she wants to help her mom who's sick and her sister, and so they raise money for her. So that's the kind of neighborhood that Yolanda lives in, and Yolanda's, you know, she's got the beauty salon, so all the women are coming in. Lupita comes, Dolores comes, and you know, so that's who she is, and she's a little more naive, a little less aggressive than the abuelas, you know. So she comes into her own when she finally wakes up from the zombie-like state that Mr. Big has put her in, and beats the monster up and gets to curse. And,
Yeah, I don't
you know.
think Bertila was acting in the last end of the film. I really do think all the beat down and the swearing came very naturally and looks amazing in the film.
I kind of
It was
did.
a little
you know,
terrifying.
I kinda did. You know,
Yeah.
I'm very method, very
Yes,
method.
yes, she is.
Yeah, and you know, and I let her interrupt me like that, Gigi, because I'm like her aunt. You know, I really am. We've worked together before, and I adore her, and I'm so proud. And I just want to say really how proud I am of all these women. I mean, this is really extraordinary because I've been around a little longer than they have. And so to see this is really wonderful, to see a female Latina director, writer, actors, just, you know, really growing the industry and beginning to show that as Latinos or Latinx or whatever you want to call it, you know, that we're a group to be dealt with, and that representation is important. But we're already here. We're big, and there's no more need for us to be victims. Our stories will be told, are going to be told, and they're going to be hits. It's just without a doubt. So I'm just happy about it. I don't know. What else do you want?
Well, you know, I had a question for you. I mean, your background is fascinating to me. You've studied with like some of the greats. In your bio, it says like Lee Strasberg and Stella Adler, and you've been working like for years. So
But that's not
just,
because I'm old. Okay.
but
Yeah.
like, if you had any like
Yeah, I
advice for
have.
actors, what would that be?
Be excellent at your job so they can't ignore you. And they must keep calling you back into that room till you get what you get. Look, um, you know, when I started, it was very different than what's happening right now. There was almost no way I was going to get any job. Seriously, certainly not on television or in films. There was nothing written for Hispanic women. It was very little. And in fact, I had to actually move into Spanish television and work at Telemundo so that I could get on camera practice. And hey, I'm somebody who was on Broadway, but there wasn't any break for me, really. It was difficult. You know, you would do a wonderful audition, and then somebody would turn around and go, oh, are you Hispanic? And I'm like, well, why don't you just call me a spick while you're at it? You know what I mean? It was like that, you know, so derogatory. So I realized, like, well, I'm going to have to go to my people so that I can learn camera work. And so I did telenovela work in Puerto Rico for Telemundo so that I got the practice, you know. So what I have to say is just keep at it, you know. I mean, it's just such a different world now, and I'm so happy for it. You know, I mean, I get to play like Melissa Fumero's mom on Brooklyn Nine-Nine because she's the lead actress. When Pearson was on the air, Isabella Risa, she was one of the leads. I got to be her mom too. I think I'm like every Puerto Rican and Cuban girl mom. Janine Mason on Roswell, she's also a Cuban actress. I got to be her mom. So, you know, maybe I don't get to play those leads, but I'm so happy they're there for the women that are coming up behind me. Is that right? Did I say that behind me? And so it's been an interesting journey. So I just tell people just be really, really good. They won't be able to ignore you. They will keep calling you in. And that's all I
Uh,
got to say.
Evelyn, you're
Yeah.
from San Diego. Were you able to channel any rage or anger from dealing with the traffic driving to LA into the role?
Yes. Oh my God, that last scene when you see it, that was me actually just yelling from the rage of the traffic of going back home to LA.
See, she's a method actress too.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, I feel like I just did a ton of research. I literally watched so many documentaries. I'm not a mother myself. I'm a dog mom. But to me, my dog is my everything. You know, he's literally my son. So I feel like I felt that motherly intuition with just using substitution with my dog, to be honest. And doing a lot of research, watching No Más Bebés, and really seeing these women's real stories dealing with the horrors that were happening in the 1960s, early 1970s, and just seeing how their lives just became tragedies overnight by, you know, one person's decision that just dictated their entire lives, was super impactful for me. And just putting myself in those shoes was terrifying. And I feel like my body, even though like as an actress I knew that I was acting, like my entire body, as an actor you actually go through it too. So I feel like my body went through it. And I remember going back to the hotel after all my tough scenes and just crying and not understanding why I was crying or like why I was feeling horrible. And then I was like, oh yeah, well you just had a really tough emotional day today, and you know that's exactly why you feel terrible. And Marisol, you know, Marisol's here and Evelyn's here, and you know, just kind of separating the two was a little bit difficult, I think, for those scenes. But I'm just so happy to have gotten the opportunity to play Marisol, because there aren't any films that give voice to the immigrant community. These people don't have the ability to speak up when they have injustices, you know, targeted towards them. They are always, you know, plagued by the fear of getting deported. And I think that we did an amazing job at highlighting that. And I'm just so grateful to have gotten this opportunity.
I think I only got you guys for another couple minutes, but my favorite question to ask is, what's been like your worst auditions?
Oh my God. I can go first real quick. Can I go first?
Well, you know, I've actually booked jobs on some of my worst auditions. In fact, a lot of actors, we believe like the worse you do, the better off you're going to be. You know,
it's true. I don't believe you had a bad audition, because I feel like you still came in like a firecracker.
I had a funny audition though. I did this movie a long time ago, kind of a cult film called Nothing But Trouble, and I was just new to LA, and I'm in the room with Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, Bob Weiss, Marion Doherty, who was like the empress of all casting directors, and I start reading with Taylor Negron, right, who I played his sister in this movie. And in the middle of this, Chevy Chase starts rolling up his pants and doing this gibberish stuff. And I just stopped the thing and I said, just stop. I mean, really, look, you know, like they say, you're Chevy Chase and I'm not. This is like a really important audition to me. What are you doing? You know, really, I was like so upset at him. So he actually stood up, turned to Dan Aykroyd and said, I'm out of here now. I'm done. And he left the room, right? And we continued the audition. And I was actually, when he left the room, I said, well, thank goodness, because now I can do my work, you know? And I swear, this is so, yeah, I'm sorry, Taylor, that you're not here to actually back me up on this. But yeah, and then when I finished the audition, they laughed a lot, you know, because I do love comedy, and Dan and Marion said, "Can you wait?" And I said, "Sure, I can wait," you know. And I waited, and then at the end, after they saw another like 30 women, and I waited for 4 hours, I came in and they said, you know, just really good. We can't tell you anything, but it's really, really good. And I did book that movie. Yeah.
Nice.
So there you have it.
Well, my story wasn't that amazing. My first audition was actually a really bad audition. No, it was a bad audition. I just remember it was when I first moved to LA, and you know, you get those like shitty, terrible auditions that you know, are like indie, I don't know, never probably gonna come out type of auditions. And I just remember I was so scared though, because it was like my first audition, and I like practiced and I thought that I had it. And then I remember when I got in the room, like my body just went in shock. You know, I like had no control over it. And I literally was like physically shaking. My cheeks were like shaking so bad. And like the people were like, is she gonna have a panic attack? Like it was bad. And I just remember like, I couldn't even control it. I was like literally, like, I don't know how to explain it. My face was just like, was
Having a
awful.
spaz.
Yeah, my face was having a spaz. Like my mouth was moving, but like my brain wasn't. And I think that at some point they were just like, oh, okay, like you're fine, thank you. They were probably scared, I was gonna pass out or something. They're like, get this girl out of here before we get sued. Yeah, I didn't get a call back for that. I hope they see this though. Maybe they're like, this girl actually, learned.
Yeah.
Well,
Gigi,
I'll
you.
share. My
Gigi
story's
acts.
not as like epic, but I too had a bad audition. I ended up booking the role, which is now all over TV for Swiffer Sweeper. If you see me on commercials with a dog high-fiving, that's me.
Nice.
Yeah, my dog did not get the call back. I auditioned with Nacho. He was not good at his audition. And everybody that asked me, where's Nacho? I'm like, getting a new agent. Because my dog completely failed everything with that.
That's
So for the callbacks, I was acting with a stuffed animal because my dog was yes, we found out he's not an actor. But thanks to my dog not taking the front seat, I booked it. But it was pretty terrible. I had French fries ready for him. I had a little piece of McDonald's hamburger for him to do his tricks, and he did nothing. He just stood there like the exact same story. His face was spazzing, and just completely got fired. That's my story.
Nacho is he's like this big. He's so
Well,
cute.
he's a model now.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
he models, so that's easy.
He's big on Instagram.
So my last question is for Gigi, and it's probably the most important question. My daughters are obsessed with super monsters.
Gosh,
They
I-
are.
Just crazy obsessed. Is there going to be another season, or can you hook us up?
Of course. Vita's always gonna come back for the next season. Don't you worry.
yeah, no, she's back.
Isn't she
The whole-
fabulous? I mean,
We definitely have a new season coming up, and next year I will be the lead of 2 new animated shows. So definitely your
Awesome.
daughters will have a new show to look forward to. But yes, Super Monsters is not over, my friend.
Thank you so
yay.
much.
Isn't
Well, I
she
think you guys are
great?
great. The films are wonderful, and thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. See ya.
Tell your daughters hi.
I will. Thanks.
Monsters up.
Yeah.
I'm going to play
He's
that
like-
for them. They're going to be love it. Thank you.
Please.
Oh my gosh, they're gonna be so happy.